Hi folks, I'm just going to run you through a whole bunch of noob moves that I made just so you understand not to make them. And I'm also going to tell you a couple tricks that I do that no one seems to do, okay? One thing that I learned like in lab is you never put anything back in the original container, the source bottle. If you use too much and you need to pour it back, you don't just contaminate the actual main jug. You keep your last jug around, and anytime you got to pour something back, you pour it back into that. And that's your like working vessel for containing stuff. The other one is people tell you filter your resin when you put it back in the bottle. No one ever seems to tell you to filter your resin as you are putting it onto the bed, which is for me a huge deal because filter it all you want on its way into the bottle, but it's when it's going onto the bed that it's going to be, an issue. That's when you really have to protect it. It's the bed you're trying to protect. So that's my clean funnel. This is my dirty funnel. I'm now I'm showing you my workflow for between prints. Especially if it's a failed print and I know that there are dingleberries or whatever bits of platform stuck in there. This is another one. These may seem like overkill, too fine or too sharp, but sometimes sheer water suction keeps a little piece like this stuck to the plate. And all kinds of guys who are not new, stuck to the film, all kinds of guys who are not new will put holes in their film trying to get that little guy who slides around just fine off. But just because he slides around doesn't mean he's going to come off. Okay, so I filter on the way in to the main bottle. Using a funnel is a big deal because that paper funnel won't just float in the bottle without all the juice pissing out the side. You need a real funnel as well. Okay, now you see that flat guy and those two little dingleberries? He is going to be a nightmare to get off most of the time. See, you can't just, he lifted off the side. There you go. Usually he won't. And then he just goes in the funnel. Unless he's something cool like a half-formed head that you want to leave as something in the mud for your other guys to step on, then you chuck him out. You leave him in the funnel. He's garbage.
Unpaused.
Rolling. Okay, so you want to keep the bottom of the film real clean. It's not important, really, keeping the top of the film clean. Top of the film, you got to make sure there's no, bits in it. But the bottom of the film's got to be clean, clean, clean. Because eventually, if you do have exposed resin, exposed meaning hardened resin, on your screen, that will obviously, especially if it's black or something, it will obstruct the light. Clear resins set in their core better because the light shines literally right through them. Now here's one of your tips here is don't be afraid. It's a cell phone screen, okay? Don't be afraid if you think there's resin on there to give the actual screen a firm scrape. Glass cleans very well with a razor, okay? If you think there's, for whatever reason, make sure you use a sharp, fresh razor because you don't want to scratch the screen. But if you think there's any resin buildup on there, just give it a gentle scrape. You can really see there's crap on the screen. Right? Oh, geez. It's making me nervous hearing that scraping. Well, anyways, so here's the rest of the tips. If there's a hole in your film, if it is such a small hole that you can barely find it, and you can pass the blade right over it, and all you hear is a little, and you don't have a new film, and you need to print. You know what? I was doing it for a week till my new films arrived. That might work for you. Not advising it, but just saying. Hole in the film getting on the screen. Actually not going to ruin your printer. This thing's working fine. Mixed resins. I heard a guy did it. I tried it with a little bit in the goop in the vat, and it worked. So that's another thing. Take the vat out. When you're lowering your plate, lower the plate so hard that you think you're going to smash the glass. Don't worry about it. The other thing is these little supports, when you're breaking the supports, don't just use gloves. Use actual paper in front of your hands. Don't handle them bare. Not because it's that dangerous, but because those little supports, as they break, will surprise, put holes in your gloves, and then your gloves are useless. Wiping the piece to get the extra unexposed resin out works good if you don't have water washable resin, because sometimes for whatever reason you can just absorb the unexposed resin out, and it works just as well. Never push your build plate up too high. It will go okay, that's another one. Won't ruin your machine, but don't do it. Don't run out of goo. Okay, you should see this half a beautiful Sailor Moon I have. If you run out of goo in the middle of a print, your print will just come out fucked. So just pour your goo in. You can really load the goo tray up. Don't worry. Don't run out of goo in the middle of a long print. Don't run out of power in the middle of a long print. Don't push buttons in the middle of a long print and stop. You can't raise. You can't look at it. It's not like this guy that you see what he's doing the whole time. You can hit stop. You can go in there and do something. No. Don't mess with it while it's going. Unless you can see it's not working, then you can stop it if you want. Filter on the way out and filter on the way back in. That's a big deal. If you're going to scrape the dead pieces off, some people show you to immerse the whole bed in a vat of solution and massage them out. No. Scrape right there on the bed. Scrape them up right there. You know what I mean? And the razor's your buddy.
Go.
Thanks for watching, folks. Notice the filtering on the way in. It's a good one.